I've been really scared to do this episode because it is an episode where I'm going to be somewhat critical of, one of the, greatest comedians, certainly in our generation. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tunji's podcast. I am your host, Tunji Taylor Lewis. I am currently at my aunt and uncle's house in Port Coquitlam, British Columbia, which is about 40-ish minutes away from Vancouver. So if you hear background noise, that's probably my little cousins and their dad yelling at them. Might be able to show you who's outside right now. Oh, look. There is, so down there's Shadi. And there's my aunt. They're doing a little photo shoot down there in the backyard. So, yeah, this is where I am. Wanted to talk today. I wanted to have some more entertainment talk. Yesterday, I talked a little bit about Will Smith and the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And today, I want to talk about another sort of entertainer who has been a huge influence on me, Kevin Hart. Now, I've been really scared to do this episode because it is an episode where I'm going to be somewhat critical of, one of the, greatest comedians, certainly in our generation, and certainly a huge influence on me. But, it's sort of like this weird thing because I really want to work with Kevin Hart one day. And, I'm scared that if I, put this episode out, that might, jeopardize those chances. Because you know how the internet goes. You put something out one time, you forget about it. And then, people want to pull it up at a random time when your life gets to a certain point. But, I'm just going to put it out there. As you can see from the title, I believe I'm going to title this podcast, I Want the Old Kevin Hart Back. I want the old Kevin Hart back. I want raw Kevin Hart. I want weird thinking Kevin Hart. I want Kevin Hart who's annoyed by everything. I want Kevin Hart who's completely raunchy. This new Kevin Hart, and by the way, Kevin Hart by all accounts has not changed as a human being. But his on-screen and his his audience persona. The issue that I'm having is that the persona that he's developed, Kevin Hart, the businessman, the brand, all that good stuff, is so much different than the Kevin Hart that I grew to love, and that's basically the issue that I'm having. I don't hate on the inspirational speeches. I don't hate on the business talk and all that stuff. But there used to be a time when every time Kevin Hart came onto a talk show or to an interview or was doing a project, he was just a straight goofball. He invited you to just laugh at him and laugh at how absolutely ridiculous he was, right? In his first few comedy specials, still to this day, my favorite comedy special from Kevin Hart is Seriously Funny, the one he put out in 2010, right? That one, Seriously Funny, and then Laugh at My Pain came out afterwards, and then before those two, there was I'm a Grown Little Man. Those three, I think, in my opinion, was Kevin Hart's best work. Not just because those are the specials where a lot of his famous sayings come out of, for example, say it with your chest, the way my bank account is set up. What was it? What was another? But those things that are recurring, those recurring lines that we say from Kevin Hart, those things came from those specials. But it's not just because of that. It's because with those specials, we really got to. It was almost like we got an invitation into Kevin Hart's brain, and we got to see things from his perspective, right? So I'll give you an example. I might even show a clip of it if I have time to edit that in, but
you gotta understand, when you've been in jail for 15 years, all you know is jail. Your mannerisms, your language, you eat, sleep, and think jail, okay? Your threats aren't even the same. Whenever you threaten somebody, they should know what's about to happen. It's a transition into a fight. I'm sick of your ass. Get up. When they get up, they know it's gonna be a fight. Stuff my uncle says leaves you in suspense. They're like the worst jail metaphors I've ever heard in my life. I don't even know how to explain them, okay? He gets out of jail, my brother called me, he said, Kev, Uncle Richard Jr. just got home. I said, what? I'm on the first flight, I'll be there in the morning. I ain't seen him in 15 years, I gotta see him. I get there, my uncle in the middle of the living room floor, I'm hyped to see him. I'm like, Uncle Richard Jr., what up, baby? 15 years, that's a long time, man, how you been? Swear to God, that's what he said to me. Say it with your chest, little ass nigga. I didn't know what to say.
There was a clip. I apologize for my little cousin screaming back there, by the way. I don't know what he's doing, but there was a stand-up bit that he did in Seriously Funny where he was talking about his uncle and the way he threatened people, right? Like, and that's such a minute detail to, oh my gosh. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. They're just gonna be making noise. That's such a minute detail to observe about human behavior, right? So he sets it up by going, most people threaten somebody by letting them know exactly what's going to happen. Like they say, I'm sick of your ass, get up, we're about to fight. They know what's about to happen. As opposed to his uncle, when he threatens you, he leaves you in suspense. And then that's where he end up with the line, say it with your chest, little ass nigga, like that one. That's such a unique perspective. That's such a unique way of looking at things. And the reason why the laughter after he says that is so powerful is because it's just so unexpected and it's so unique to Kevin Hart's situation. But he brought us along for the journey so well that we completely understand it. So when he gives us the punchline, we have an amazing response, right? As Kevin Hart has gotten bigger, as he's had more success, which he's absolutely deserved. Like this man, for all the things I'm saying about him, he's like the hardest working person in Hollywood, maybe other than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, right? That's my aunt, ladies and gentlemen. Hello? Hi. I'm just recording. Sorry about that. But yeah, so as he's gotten bigger, as he's had more success, he's definitely started to shift less towards like his specific way of thinking and more towards sort of stand-up and movies that are more relatable to everybody else. To everybody. So instead of talking about his specific situation, he's talking about, you know, stuff that, for example, women love to talk about hypothetical situations about stuff that'll never happen, right? Now that's something that guaranteed every, you know, husband or boyfriend has gone through with their significant other. And it's still funny, it's still good, but it's just not as, you know, it's just not like you don't feel like you learned something about Kevin Hart. You know what I mean? Like and even like the way he tells stories now are like very relatable. Like even like with this last special where he talked about his daughter going on his period for the first time. Yeah, that's an interesting story to tell, but like obviously everybody's gonna be able to relate. And it's understandable because like, you know, he's going on worldwide tours, right? So like he really has to be able to reach everybody. But I just think that he could have stuck with the stuff that he was doing before, like the very unique perspective that he had in the past, and still have had the same amount of success. And you see that with a guy like Chris Rock, for example. Chris Rock, his comedy hasn't changed at all. The way he does comedy, the way he shares his perspective hasn't changed at all. Same with Dave Chappelle. His perspective on things, the way he views things, the way he does comedy has evolved, but it hasn't changed, right? Like these people have their comedy has evolved, but it hasn't changed. And I feel like Kevin Hart's comedy fundamentally changed. Like, even with the past specials, he was like a little bit more grounded. He wasn't as crazy. These new specials, the specials when you talk about Let Me Explain, when you talk about What Now, when you talk about Irresponsible, they're a lot more showy. They're a lot more they're a lot more like, you know, just like facial expressions and body movements and like craziness all over the stage. But it's not as much taking us into what he's trying to say, right? Yeah, and like that's just my point of view. And the reason why it's sort of somewhat frustrating for me as a comedy fan is because Kevin Hart is one of like, you know, there's a reason he's having the success that he's having. Like, he's one of the greatest comedic talents in our generation. I just sort of wish that he sort of pointed that ability towards giving us those classic specials, like the way that Eddie gave us Delirious and he gave us Raw, two amazing classic pieces of art. The way that Chris Rock gave us Bring the Pain and Bigger and Blacker, and, you know, Don't Kill the Messenger, like though, like spaced out over time. And that might be part of the thing too. Like, maybe the reason why Kevin Hart's comedy feels so watered down right now is because he puts out a new special once every 2 years, right? And it's really hard to produce like classic specials. Like, I almost wish that he took the best bits from from Let Me Explain, the best bits from What Now, and the best bits from Irresponsible, and put that together and made his hour, and that would have been a classic special. But, you know, with that said, you know, I continue to look to Kevin Hart for how to build a business upon your talent. I look to Kevin Hart as far as excellence as an entertainer in business, but as far as a purebred comedian, man, I just really like hope for the day where he, you know, I guess maybe takes some time off and just gives us that special from Kevin Hart's brain and from his soul. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.